You are not.
I hate my baby mama. I wish I never fucked you. I really, really wish you died. So tonight, I'm putting you in a coffin.
Baby's mama, the bitch got drama. Fuck my baby's mama, cause she's the type of bitch that wanna see me broke.
Baby mama ain't shit, no. She won't let me see my son. But you fuck with her, mama pop my gun. Pussy ain't no one-on-one.
Thing I wanna say is fuck my baby mama. Not all on, just one on, cause that baby by a drummer.
Hello everyone, it's me, Ashley of Trappraylove. The pick-me's are getting stronger.
People know the consequences of their actions. And one of the consequences is people like me gonna talk shit about it.
Mamas are in a relationship with men that will never marry them, that disrespect them, and don't value them as the mother of their children.
A lot of you look at people like Ari and Jada, beautiful girls, but like, that's your goals. That's what you want to be like.
See, at first they came for sluts, then they came for boss bitches, and now baby mamas. And you know what's crazy? A lot of people that are uploading these videos don't even have kids. They're not even moms.
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
Being a baby mother myself, I decided that I just wanted to defend us a little bit in this video. And since this is a channel where I support all of my arguments with evidence, I will show you historical and scientific proof that although baby mothers may get child support and other things like that, we're still getting the unfair end of the deal. Keep watching. A baby mama is the mother of one or more of a man's children, especially one who is not his wife or current partner. I just want to side note here that there is a negative connotation to the word baby mama. One thing that I especially hate is when men separate from their wives and they decide to refer to their ex-wife as a baby mama. To me, this is just a way to use the word baby mama to wrap your ex-wife in, because it doesn't acknowledge the fact that you actually chose that woman to be your wife and you made a mistake. Therefore, you're putting all of the shittiness of the relationship on her. There is a difference between an ex-wife and a baby mama. There is an equivalent term for males, and that is baby daddy, but we're not going to be focusing on baby daddies in this video. If you would like me to later create another video deep diving into the baby daddy shit, just leave a comment below and I will get on that. Think of when you think of baby mamas. Do you think of the trickster that has 1,000% sureness of the paternity of her baby? The gold digger that Kanye rapped about in his song? Or do you think of the hard-working, strong, heartbroken woman that tried her best and eternally struggled to take care of her children? What would you say if I told you that the way that you look at baby mamas is entirely dependent on the type of media that you've consumed? In media, there is a dichotomy of the baby mama trope. You either have the trickster gold digger, or you have the eternally struggling mom that just tries to do the best for her children. I would like to argue that a lot of black media does not depict a true image of black motherhood, especially when it comes to single motherhood. And that is part of the reason why our image of baby mothers is entirely skewed. The way that baby mothers are shown in media show only one of two extremes. You either really, really hate that person and you hope that she gets what's coming to her, or you like entirely feel super sorry and bad for this mom that she just got like the shittiest version ever. I don't think that either of these like completely exist. Yes, I'm saying that there are people with these qualities, but these are definitely stereotypes that are on both extremes of the spectrum. And that is why we have such a fucked up image of black young motherhood. If you don't believe me, just listen to any of Eminem's older music. Like, we literally collectively as a generation hated his baby mama Kim and could not point her out in a lineup. There were skits of him stuffing her into the backs of vehicles and no one had a fucking problem with it. This is an issue. I saw this so much growing up that I did not want to ever be like a baby mama, be someone's baby mama. And the other thing is, it's presented to you that women that do have your children are just trying to trap you and get some money from you. That when I actually became a baby mama, I thought that I would get like a lot more in return than I actually got. Like, this shit is not real. Time and time again, we hear the story of a young black man on the brink of success, and all of a sudden someone gets pregnant. And what do? We vilify the woman. And to me personally, what the most infuriating thing about this whole mentality is that a lot of black men are raised in single mother households. There are households that are more so the mother may reflect the Tyler Perry, oh, I feel sorry for her. But when it comes to when they end up getting into that situation, they don't have that same love and respect for their own mother of their children. Why is that? I would like to argue that it has a lot to do with the relationship that they have, the sexual relationship that they do have with that woman, and also a combination of media with our generation. Back in the day, whether the man was with the woman or not, he still took care of his kids. If he had kids outside of a family, you never really heard back in the 70s and 80s, oh, I hate my baby mother and all that. And men that did not take care of their kids and that even spoke that way, they were kind of seen as like dirtbags. But with the 90s, with rap music, just completely with songs like I hate my baby mama and all that type of shit, we've definitely seen a shift with the hatred of unwed women taking up the responsibility and having these kids. So with this video, I really wanted to deep dive and go into history and really look at black love and marriage historically and really start to see, where did this begin at? Because nowadays it seems like if you break up and you happen to have the child or you happen to receive child support, that you are now the enemy. You are a gold digging, life ruining bitch, and that is just how society has branded you. Traditionally, marriage was not about love as much as it were about family joining resources. And around the time of the first Western marriages, marriage was a way to ensure that your property or rule was to be kept in your bloodline. Women did not own property and were seen as being unfit to rule, until Queen Elizabeth, that is. So this is why having heirs, male heirs particularly, was so important. However, African Americans historically could not use marriage as a way to secure their own property because they had no property, because they were the property. Slaves could not legally marry. When two slaves were married, they had to first gain the slave owner's permission, and this typically just meant that the owner would allow them to live in the same cabin together. Slave wedding ceremonies would include certain rituals like the jumping of the broom. However, they were not officiated by clergy members or anything like that. They were not legal marriages. Often when slaves were married, it was till death or distance do you part, as slaves could be separated and sold to other places. About 180,000 black men fought in the Civil War. Because slave marriages were not considered legal and thus unrecorded, it is unclear how many married men were fighting in the war and left their families behind. However, many men, after being free after the war, did not return to their families. A lot of slaves that were married on the plantation when the Civil War broke out, and we know how that ended up, slaves became free. When they became free, a lot of them saw new freedom and did not go back home to their wives and kids. In her book, Bound in Wedlock, Slave and Free Black Marriage in the 19th Century, Dr. Tara Hunter tells the story of Sherry Williams. Sherry Williams was a slave, and she married her love on the plantation, another slave. And when the Civil War broke out, he was sent by the master to go fight in the Civil War. They were from Tennessee at the time. And when he never returned, she assumed that he died in the war. However, he was spotted living nearby her, and she had these 3 kids, and he never returned home. So Sherry decided to send him a couple of letters. You was mine when you left, and you are yet mine. I will always claim you and love you. And if you come now, I will always treat you as kind as I can. And I can do more for you now better than ever. As you read this book, you can see Sherry's tone change from loving and affectionate to kind of threatening and just wanting this nigga to bring his ass back and help her with these kids. I have the right to your love and protection. And if you don't come, I will compel you to come. And I do not want to see you punished. But if you do not come, I will have you confined. He never returned to Sherry. With slavery ended, this new freedom also granted African Americans the freedom to choose how they wanted to also conduct their love lives. Some ex-slaves saw freedom as an opportunity to break away from partners who they'd never been attached to in the first place, or to reject spouses from whom they'd grown apart with over the years. So Sherry unfortunately became the first recorded baby mother in African American history. Now, I'm not saying that all women that have kids, all baby mamas, have been treated like Sherry, treated unfairly and just completely rejected and abandoned. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying, in the African American community, because of slavery, because it was such an oppressive system, and then the system was just replaced with other oppressive systems like Jim Crow, that the baby mama, the family dynamic, it definitely is more fucked up when it comes to African Americans. Well, basically, there is always the complaint that a lot of women, to avoid getting up and getting a job, that they decide to just have more kids and stay on welfare, and thus it makes all of us have to just use up all of our tax money to fund these lazy, no good, gold digging evil bitches, right? Well, that's not entirely accurate. Although there are cases of welfare fraud, it is typically uncommon. You may be surprised to find out where most of your tax-paying dollars actually go to. Honestly, like, I am not completely against, like, getting an itemized receipt for where exactly our tax-paying dollars go. Because, like, no bullshit. Like, if I went to 7-Eleven right now, I get an itemized receipt for everything I just bought. Why am I finding out 40 days later, listening to All Things Considered on NPR, finding out that we spent billions of dollars to, like, the Ukraine or to fund some weird fish research at the bottom of the ocean? And this rhetoric, by the way, was racist rhetoric brought on to you by the Reagan administration.
Ronald Reagan was the devil.
In 1996, Bill Clinton signed the Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunity Reconciliation Act. This substantially reconstructed the nation's welfare system by giving state governments more autonomy over welfare services, while also reducing the federal government's role. The states decide how welfare money is spent. This, by the way, is an absolute shit show, because a lot of states spend the money that they budget to spend on welfare programs, spend them on completely other shit, leaving a lot more people helpless, homeless, and hungry. In the welfare program that provides mothers with cash assistance, it requires that mothers are actively looking for work, and it's actually temporary. That's the T in TAMF. It's temporary cash assistance. So the fact that these mothers don't have to get a job and we just pay all this money, it's not true. And as far as other incomes, such as child support, that is also up to the states. And that depends on several factors like health insurance and how much income that both parents make, and expensive childcare costs and things like that. And the child support system is not 100% either. There is a lot of cases of people getting off without having to pay any child support and seeing very little jail time or any type of repercussions outside of it. And trust me, I am someone that knows about that. I was raised in a single parent household, and the other parent paid not any child support for a very long time. In the Black community, historically, even welfare assistance like public housing has a lot of weird systematic racism and destruction of the Black household embedded in it. People that were first receiving public assistance and getting into these public housing programs, they were only allowed to move into these buildings contingent on the fact that the husband or the father of the house leave the household.
Before we moved into Pruitt-Igoe, the welfare department came to our home. They talked with my mother about moving into the housing project, but the stipulation was that my father could not be with us. They would put us into the housing project only if he left the state. My mother and father discussed it, and they decided that it was best for the 12 children for the father to leave the home. And that's how we got into the projects.
Yes, you heard that right. The federal government legally split up black households. So this baby mama, baby daddy drama shit, there are ways that it has been systematically fucked up for African Americans. So the most common stereotype with the baby mama trope is that the baby mama is just so bitter about the relationship. One of the most common reasons for this bitterness is that she was never chosen. She was never chosen to be his wife. In my opinion, this is a very good reason to be bitter, because marriage is a social construct that has provided both men and women with many benefits in society. But let's talk a little bit about the evolution of mammals. Mate guarding is the physical guarding of a female in order to deny rival males the opportunity to mate with her. It is one of the most commonly used defensive strategies observed in mammals, birds, insects, and fish. There are several reasons why animals want to guard their mates, but the main reason is for fathers to keep tabs on the mother's whereabouts. It can be very costly to take care of an offspring that isn't yours. So when animals mate guard, this is the animal equivalent of going through someone's phone or checking where you're at. All animals want to guard their mates. Now in humans, there are many forms of mate guarding, marriage being one of them. I'm not trying to push that moral argument that women need to be married before they procreate. However, from an evolutionary standpoint, marriage does give you a bigger advantage over unmarried women if you would like your offspring to survive. Charles Darwin wrote in his book On the Origin of Species that organisms best adjusted to their environment are the most successful at surviving and reproducing. This is known as the survival of the fittest evolutionary theory. So the point is to have your offspring have the best chances of surviving in the environment. If the environment is America, what chances do you have to not only survive, but to be the fittest, the strongest in that environment? In terms of survival, you should be a healthy or well human. Human wellness in today's society can be divided up into 5 components: physical, emotional, social, spiritual, and intellectual. So in order to have a child that will survive in America, parents need to be able to cater to those needs. So, if to develop an intellectually strong child in America, the parents need to ensure that a child not only has a good education, but a competing one. Remember, we're not just surviving, we're raising successful kids. If a child is going to be physically well, they need to be safe, live in a good neighborhood, have a good diet. You get the gist. But America is also a capitalist society, which means that in order to compete, you have to make money. So, income is also a big factor. And nowadays, that may mean that both parents have to bring in some form of income. Evolutionarily speaking, women should be choosy on who they procreate with. Human babies, unlike other mammals, are extremely needy. Human pregnancy and nursing is lengthy and labor intensive. So a human mother cannot afford to have a low investment with her offspring. Even after the baby years, unlike other mammals, a human child just can't go out into the world. Parenthood is time consuming. So in choosing a father, a mother needs the security and commitment that the father is going to be around to invest in the household, whether that's providing financial stability, emotional support, or the physical protection of a household. When a man has a child with a woman and chooses not to marry her and commit to the household, it lowers his chances of the children in that family to survive in the environment. But if that man chooses to procreate and marry another woman and give her offspring the support and the investment, now that family has a higher chance of success and survival. And now here comes room for bitterness. And this is where the baby mama effect comes in. So look, relationships are hard. Parenting is hard. And if you're Black in America, parenting and relationships are that much harder. And I would just like to say, although you may not like the person that you've procreated with, you may not like the person that you started that family with, but you're still a family. Bottom line is that we all want our children to have the best chances to survive and thrive in our environments. And there is a level of investment and help that goes outside of the financial aspect of it. So whether you're a baby mother or a baby father, I feel like we could all do our part in just ensuring that our kids are growing up with the best chances that they have to be great in their environment. And with that, I'm going to leave it there. Bye guys. Thanks for watching.